So this is lesson number 42 in Algebra 1, solving multivariable equations. What we're doing here is taking an equation that has a lot of variables in it, like 6y minus x plus z equals 4. And what we're doing here is we're solving for one of those variables. We're not going to get an answer. We're not going to get an answer that x is 4, y is 3, and z is negative 16. We're just not going to get a number. All we're doing is rearranging so that we get one of these three variables isolated or on one side of the equal sign. So in this case, example 42.1 says solve for y. That means they want us to write it as y equals a whole bunch of stuff. So we're going to rearrange stuff so that the negative x, the z, and the 6 are all over here and the y is left alone. So we're just going to use simple algebra in order to do that. So what we do is, first of all, we get rid of all the numbers added or subtracted to the variable we're trying to isolate. So if this says solve for y, we're trying to get rid of all the numbers or letters that are added or subtracted to the y. So we're going to leave the 6 alone because it's being multiplied. But we're going to add x to both sides, and we're going to subtract z. And that'll get rid of those right there. So that equals 4. We're going to add x to both sides. We're going to subtract z from both sides. You can do them one at a time, but sometimes it's easier just to get rid of all of them at once. So if there's a minus z, we're going to add it to the other side. If there's a plus z, we're going to subtract it from the other side. Alright, can't combine any of those because there's nothing common. So now we're going to divide. And that gives us y equals 4 plus x minus z. Now the last step is we're going to separate our fraction because we can simplify it. So we're going to put each term on top over the 6 because this can be reduced to 2/3. This can't be reduced, and that can't be reduced. So that ends up being what we get for an answer. That's pretty much what this lesson is about. Let's go ahead and practice a couple more so that you feel better, confident with it. So we've got 4x minus 2y plus 2 equals y minus 4. And they're asking us to solve for, sorry my writing's bad, solve for y. That is supposed to be solve for. So we're solving for y. That means we need to get y isolated by itself on one side of the equal sign. Right now we have it on two different sides. So first of all we need to get the y's together. So let's take this y. Well, it doesn't really matter. You can take this y and subtract it from here and here and move it over. So let's just go ahead and do that. So let's subtract y from both sides. So that's all we're doing. Okay, so that got rid of that there. Now we're solving for y. We're going to get rid of all the numbers added or subtracted to that there. So we've got a 4x that's added to it because there's a plus sign in front of that. So let's get rid of that. Let's do that in blue. Let's subtract it. And we have a 2 here. Let's subtract it from both sides. So that goes away, so we're left with negative 3y, and that goes away. Negative 4, okay, we said we're going to subtract it from both sides. And we're going to subtract that. Okay, so let's see if we can combine anything here. Negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6. Because remember, negative 4 minus 2 is the same as negative 4 plus negative 2. Signs are the same, so you add them and put the sign on. So that's where the negative 6 comes from. Alright, so we've got a whole bunch of stinking negatives on there. So remember, the way to get rid of negatives, just take them all away. Change the sign of everything, and as long as you change the sign of everything, you can do that. Now let's get rid of the 3. Divide that, divide that. So we have y equals, and now we're going to separate them, remember, 6 over 3 plus 4x over 3. And that gives me y equals 6 over 3 is 2 plus 4x over 3. And I am done with that one. The only other thing I would do is usually they prefer to have the variable part of the equation first. So I'm just going to take the 4/3 and put it in front of the 2. And that's it. So example 42.3 says we're going to do a 4p plus 2a minus 5, and we're going to set that equal to 6a plus p, and we're solving for p. So we're trying to isolate the p. So right now we have one there and one there. So let's get the p's over there. So let's subtract p from both sides. So we have 3p plus 2a minus 5 equals 6a, because that one disappeared. Now let's get this mess over to this side. So we have a plus a, so we're going to subtract 2a. We have a minus 5, so we'll add 5. Okay, so right now we have 3p equals 6a minus 2a plus 5. So let's take this and combine them. Okay, now we divide. And we have p equals, split them up, 4a over 3 plus 5 over 3. And we just solved for p. 2 more examples, it looks like, and we'll be done. So this is example 42.4, and what we're doing is we're trying to find x. So again, we're going to try to get everything together. And notice here we have a bunch of like terms that we can combine over here. So we can combine my 5y and my minus 2y. And I can also combine this x with this x. So 5y minus 2y is 3y. That gets rid of those. And a plus x plus 3x is going to be 4x. And then don't forget your minus 4 equals 0. So again, I'm trying to get rid of everything but my x there. So I have a plus 3y, so I'm going to subtract 3y here and subtract 3y here. I have a minus 4 here, so I'm going to add 4 and add 4. So that gets rid of those, that gets rid of those. And what I have here is 4x equals 0 minus 3y plus 4. We can get rid of 0. That doesn't mean anything. Don't get rid of the negative 3y, but you can get rid of the 0. Now I need to get rid of the 4 because I'm solving for x. And then I'll split them up. Plus 1. So last example here is 4y plus 6x minus 4 equals 2. And we are solving for y. Alright, so there's nothing to combine over here. So we're just going to have to get rid of that 6x and that minus 4. So minus 6x plus 4. So we're going to put that on the other side. And then we can start combining like terms here. So 4y equals 6 minus 6x. Divide by 4, divide by 4. And we have y equals 6 over 4 minus 6x over 4. And that's going to be reduced to 3 halves minus 3 halves x. And again, remember I told you we'll switch those around so that we have our variable first. Remember to take the negative sign with it. So we have negative 3 halves x plus 3 halves for the answer. And that's it for lesson number 42 in Algebra 1. The assignment is going to cover ones exactly like I just did. There's nothing weird about any of these, nothing extra hard. They're going to be pretty much the exact same. Practice A and B, as well as numbers 14 and 15. And the rest of the stuff on there you've already had experience with. So we'll call that good for lesson 42.